Hear what happened to me recently. I'm going down Jogi Road walking peacefully. Some Indians and Negroes rioting. For me didn't know not a single thing. But as I enter in holding trace, an Indian man cocked me straight in my face. I ran by the Negroes to get rescue. Look a coolie and them start beating me too. So if they're sending Indians to India, and the Negroes back to Africa, can somebody please just tell me where they're sending for me? I am neither one nor the other. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If they're serious about sending back people for true, they're bound to split me in two. Some fellas having a race discussion. I jump in to give my opinion. A young fella watched me in my face. He say, you shut your mouth, you ain't got no race. What he said to me was a real insult. But it's not I to blame, it's my father's fault. When he say I have no race, he didn't talking true. Instead of having one race, you know I got two. So if you're sending Indians to India, and the Negroes back to Africa, can somebody please just tell me where they're sending for me? I am neither one nor the other. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If they're serious about sending back people for true, they're bound to split me in two. Let us suppose they pass a law, they don't want people living here anymore. Just suppose they pass a law, they don't want people living here anymore. Everybody got to find their country according to your race originally. What a confusion I would cause in the place. They might have to shoot me in space, because they're sending Indians to India, and the Negroes back to Africa. Can somebody please just tell me where they're sending for me? I am neither one nor the other. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If they're serious about sending back people for true, they got to split me in two. From the time I small in confusion, I couldn't play with no other little children. If I go by the Negro children to play, they say, you little coolie, now run away. I go by the Indian children next door, they say, no weary and what you come here for? I always by myself like a little monkey, not one single child wouldn't play with me. So if they're sending Indians to India, and the Negroes back to Africa, can somebody please just tell me where they're sending for me? I am neither one nor the other. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If they're serious about sending back people for true, they're bound to split me in two. Hear what happened to me recently. I'm going down Jogi Road walking peacefully. Some Indians and Negroes rioting. For me didn't know not a single thing. But as I enter in holding trace, an Indian man cocked me straight in my face. I ran by the Negroes to get rescue. Look a coolie and them start beating me too. So if they're sending Indians to India, and the Negroes back to Africa, can somebody please just tell me where they're sending for me? I am neither one nor the other. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If they're serious about sending back people for true, they're bound to split me in two. Some fellas having a race discussion. I jump in to give my opinion. A young fella watched me in my face. He say, you shut your mouth, you ain't got no race. What he said to me was a real insult. But it's not I to blame, it's my father's fault. When he say I have no race, he didn't talking true. Instead of having one race, you know I got two. So if you're sending Indians to India, and the Negroes back to Africa, can somebody please just tell me where they're sending for me? I am neither one nor the other. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If they're serious about sending back people for true, they're bound to split me in two.
shoulder, Itobanani Capra. So I am Patsy of India. India, the Indian ship and the slavery bind together to rest in unity. There was no more Mother Africa, no more Mother India, just Mother Trinity. My Bahuta planted sugar cane down in the Caroni Plain. Ram Logan Bastel Pakashanai. Jahaji Pai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji Pai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji So it is a great privilege to have such unique heritage. 50% Africa, 50% India. India, I have no duty to holiday, emancipation and arrival day. Since Patel Rosak made that journey, 150 years gone already. Whether you're Hindu, Muslim or Christian, let's walk this land hand in hand. We could only prosper if we try. Jahaji Pai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji Pai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji Pai. Kumaye, Zindawe. Kumaye, Zindawe. Kumaye, Zindawe. For those who play in ignorance, talking about true African descendant, if you want to know the truth, take a trip back to your root. And somewhere on that journey, you go see a man in a dhoti, saying he prayers in front of a chandi. Chandi. Then and only then you'll understand what is a cosmopolitan nation. There's no room for prejudice at all. United we stand, divided we fall. So to always is here in Trinbego, Akokaliano Danyaho. Let us live as one under the sky. Jahaji Pai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji Pai. Brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji Pai. Kumaye, Zindawe. Kumaye, Zindawe, ayayo. Kumaye, Zindawe. Kumaye, Zindawe, ayayo.
Yesterday, of course, a pleasant good night to all on Century, East, West, North, South, Central, friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Sunday edition of the Corridor Transformation. I thought I would start there, but of course, we will normally have a religious slant, a sort of spiritual slant to the Sunday program, but I thought it was important, of course, having regard to the fact that we were a bit tardy, or should I say, a bit inconclusive, or we have not been able to complete the issue about, of course, racial politics. And I thought before the weekend ends, not that we are not in the new week, because of course, as all students should know, CXC, etc., that of course the week begins on a Sunday. 7 days, of course, in the week, but it begins on a Sunday. Of course, the work day, or the first work day of the week, of course, is usually called Monday. But that being as it may, the fact of the matter is that we have not been able to complete that task of course, looking at racial politics, I thought was important, of course, to do that today. And notwithstanding that, I think, of course, we should still, of course, have this religious flavor that we normally would, of course, grace ourselves, bless ourselves as we prepare, of course, for the new week, or the new work week, I should say, to be more specific. And of course, I thought, let us not break the tradition, but of course do as of course we have been able and have been doing over the years that we have been on the corridor transformation, especially on a Sunday. Right? So before we go there, let's just do that. Yes, indeed, we need to make sure we pay homage. We must make sure we pay homage to the one that gives everything to us. Life, light, even darkness, yes. Because it's in darkness the replenishing of the oxygen of the earth that takes place. Through the plants, of course. And then, of course, we have other things that take place in darkness. So darkness has its benefit. But when they are dark, where immorality is concerned, where the depth of profligacy, waste, incompetence, and hatching plots to deprive Trinidad and Tobago and our children in particular, or indeed to gain power without merit and without a deep, passionate concern for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, then of course darkness has a very negative connotation. Yes, indeed. When time gets rough, as resilient and determined Trinbagonians, we rise to the occasion. And as the saying goes, when a tiger is wounded, back against the wall, only thing you can do is plunge forward. No, not to succumb, and not to grovel, not to say, I am going to give in to those who unjustly have sought government, who have acquired offices to deliver to us our resources, and then they arrogate unto themselves that position to determine who must eat and who must eat. In fact, there are 2 ministers of government, and 3 now, a third one, albeit belatedly, but nonetheless, a minister assigned to the same ministry, and are considered with ministers of death. The Alsing in health, Fitzgerald Hines in national security, and of course his recent, I would consider sidekick or addendum, Scotland. And indeed, the conspirators, the entire cabinet, and of course the architect of all of this, Chief Christopher Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us not waste time. That's a fact. And last night, of course, we see where, as we predicted, people are going to start jumping off in this evil chariot of incompetence, backwardness, degradation, and clearly obsolete and Jurassic in their policies and programs. So now that we have, of course, put the religious flavor to tonight's program, let us look at the question of racial politics in this country. The time has come that we must be objective about this matter. The time has come because of the conduct of the PNM in particular. I am not, of course, absolving anyone. It is not for me to do that. But I will lay the foundation for the argument and, of course, give the meat and place the meat on the bone of the argument. And whether you agree with me or not, that's a matter of your own conscience and your own evaluation and your own assessment. You see, I've always said that experience is the best teacher. And when, of course, the UNC became the government in 1995, with, of course, its coalition partners, but in 1995 under Basio Pandey, it was for the first time, and at that time, of course, the organization that I founded, the MLIO, the Mobile Laboratory Improvement Organization, training, of course, over 6,000 young people of the type that are of concern to the society today: home invasions, robberies, kidnappings, those crimes that are considered to be offending the material possession of or acquired possession of citizens and exposing their life and their limbs as well. They are called crimes relating to property and person. Crimes of property against property and person. Yes, indeed. And in the 1995 UNC led a coalition, and the advent of course, Basio Pandey as Prime Minister, I remembered very distinctly the amount of Africans who approached me because, of course, they understood the value of the effort that I was making in the Lavatel context, but of course has implications for the wider society, particularly where the downtrodden and the poor and, of course, the dispossessed and those who may be existing in what I consider to be not just squalor, but in indigent circumstance, poverty circumstance. And I remembered, because by that time we had to move from the Fernandez compound and move to, of course, not Coconut Drive, but Truman's Drive, where the accommodation was not as salubrious or as nice or accommodating as when we were at the Fernandez, even though that in itself was not as hospitable as one would have liked. But of course, it was better than when we moved to Juman's. But we had to move because the Fernandez family wanted their building. They gave us it for 5 years initially, and we stayed there for just above that, over that, and therefore the time would have come. So we had really and truly overstayed our agreed arrangement because by that time we didn't have a place to go, but we had to move into action. And of course, coming out from there, because we had something like what, 300 to 400, and what a typical small primary school would accommodate. Yes, we had that there, but the warehouse shell that we were occupying could have accommodated, and we really did a fantastic job, even though the conditions were inhospitable. So it was also a period when Robinson, as Prime Minister, because remember, during the period 1986 to 1991, remember the NDI lost the elections, but during that period, Robinson would have visited as Prime Minister our program almost every month, religiously. And we had the community, of course, focused. And the parents and guardians were, of course, attending every meeting. And I'll tell you why. Because it's important we understand. Because when the UNC gets back into office, these are the kinds of programs that will be required in order, of course, to get Trinidad and Tobago back on even keel and to steer it in a path that, of course, would put to the back of us the level of let's say, proliferation of crime and criminality and the gravitation of young people to, of course, a life of crime. Of course, and while they may be in a small portion of the society, they are creating sufficient havoc for Trinidad and Tobago's reputation to be continuously and of course, I would say increasingly solid. You cannot come to Trinidad and Tobago if you are from the United States, Canada, Germany, France, United Kingdom, and other parts of the Caribbean and the African continent and the Asian continent. You cannot come to Trinidad without, of course, the government of those countries telling you not to come. Their citizens, whether you're here for as a visitor in terms of tourism or as a investor, they tell you don't come. And that is well published because, of course, of the availability, the instantaneous availability of information based on the internet and the invention thereof. So you can't hide the information. And they tell them, don't come to Trinidad. But if they do come, don't come to Laventille, don't go to Nelson Street, don't go around the Savannah, don't go to Belmont, etc. And these days they tell you, don't go St. Augustine. And I say St. Augustine because, of course, St. Augustine was designated by the UNC as the educational capital. And in fact, it is because of the fact of the number of tertiary educational facilities that surround there. Of course, the centerpiece of which is that of the UWI, the University of the West Indies. Yes, people. So around that time, we were doing our part in Laventille, having, of course, recognized the problem and decided, of course, to do something about it in spite of the fact that we did not have the wherewithal, meaning that, of course, while we had the will and we had, of course, the programs and we had the ideas, we did not have, of course, the financial and other material facilitation in order, of course, to make a success. But mind you, determination is a hell of a thing. It's better you try and fail than you fail to try. And boy, did we try. We sacrifice, of course, a family life. We sacrifice salary. We sacrifice, of course, doing better in other jobs. But we decided, those of us, I remember very distinctly, Miss Rosie, late Mr. Ramsey, late Charles, and I pay homage to them because they have passed on. But they came together, and in fact, we came together, and of course, I bring in the idea to them, and of course, we started, of course, at the upper part of Passy Street in Laventille, and eventually, of course, after a year or two, when the program outgrown the facility that we started with up at Passy Street, we then, of course, approached Fernandez, and Fernandez gave us, of course, that warehouse where, of course, we were able now to accommodate 300 rather than the 25 or 30 or so or 50 of them up at Passy Street. That is where we were. And then, of course, the program started, of course, not only to focus on Laventille and environs, whether it be MOVA, whether it be Pitham, whether it be Silots, whether it be Chumakak, or whether it be Eastport of Spain, whether it be Malik, whether it be Africa, etc., etc. Because people started to recognize that there's something good going there, and therefore students started to come from, of course, places like Maracas, places like, of course, the Central, and, of course, in the East as well, as far as Arima and Sangre Grande. That is what we did. That is what we did. And Robinson, of course, recognizing that, he decided, of course, that every month he will pay us a visit. And simultaneously, we will have, of course, parents come, and, of course, the wider community invited in that, what I consider to be dusty, inhospitable environment, hot during the day, because there is no ceiling, galvanized. The only cushion we have from the heat would have been because of the height of the warehouse, so that breeze, wind, air could have flowed through pretty easily, but at the same time, it was still making hot. But dusty, difficult to keep clean because of the work that the warehouse was designed for, just to store items. And I cannot be, of course, ungrateful to the Fernandez family, that in spite of the fact that we had to leave because they wanted, of course, their warehouse after about 10 years that we would have stayed there. But I want to thank them profusely. And, of course, in recent times, the board of MLIO and, of course, the new entity that we now have developed for treating with, of course, the programs here on George Street. We have decided, of course, to write them and thank them for their support, because they didn't have to. They didn't have to. But the point I am making is that Robinson and the NR administration recognized it, and by the time he would have left office, even though there was a coup, remember that in the 1990 coup. And the next year, of course, government changed as the PNM came in under Manning. But I want to make the point. That by the time the coup was over, he came back from Africa, donated some tools to the program. And then, of course, in discussions, Robin. Hey. Robinson set up. Let me just pause for a while. Lie down, boy, lie down.
sail on by. Your time has come to shine. Your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled waters. I will ease your mind, like a bridge over troubled waters. I will ease your mind. I'll ease your mind. Sail on, silver girl, like a bridge over troubled water. I'll ease your mind. Sail on, silver girl, sail on. I said sail on.
Yes, of course. Sorry for that interruption, but I'm sure that you experience during the course of this program the nature of the neighborhood. And it is fortuitous that we are talking about this situation as far as racial politics is concerned, for us to understand that that has no place in deciding what is best for us as a people, for our children, our children's children. I'm sure you heard the interruption just now. Rapid fire. Yeah, that's real. Happened as I was speaking. Of course, it's a little way off, but of course, you hear these things as if it's close by. So I had to pause in order to find out, and of course, a whole set of people outside as well looking as to what caused that, and searching as to what direction these rapid fire would have been coming from. But let's get back into that is why we have to be more, not just conscious, but we have to act quickly. We have to act expeditiously. We have to act as though it was yesterday. That is how the prerequisites, that is what is required at this point in time. Those of us who are conscious and are prepared, of course, to do the full work, so to speak, to carry the mantle of responsibility for the transformation and for the amelioration and for the limiting, if not eliminating, that type of vicious and, of course, callous and violent Trinidad and Tobago, as the rest of the world would see. And of course, it does not augur well for future economic advancement. Well, we can say what they want. They could glibly and illusionarily and elusively talk about 2027. Hogwash. A figment of their imagination to try, of course, to stay on in government to do us evil. They had every opportunity back in 2015 with $12 billion at their disposal in reserves, 5 in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, and $5 billion in, of course, excess liquidity that they could, of course, entice and encourage, of course, entrepreneurs. Hogwash about COVID and 2021 year. Since before 2019, 2018, 2017, they were telling us that things turn around. And what they were telling us things turn around for, not only did they, or were they talking about the monies that they met there, in other words, left by Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the preceded administration, between 2010 and 2015, not only that they were talking about, no. They were saying things would turn around because the investment made by Kamala Prasad Bissessa and the UNC administration, whether you want to call it PP or whatever it is, because by 2013-14, they were encouraging, of course, upstreamers, whether it be BP, whether it be Shell, etc., to drill, and other entities to drill. They call them upstreamers to drill. When Manning and they were there, they were extracting. Because remember, he had a bite at the cherry in 1991. He came back and he had another bite at the cherry in 2007. Yes. And before that, well, of course, 1991, yes, to 1995. But I was telling you quickly before we move on in terms of addressing this problem of racial politics, because it must be, of course, jettisoned from the political, should I say, not, well, I should say lexicon or the dictionary or your vocabulary or your conscience. Get it out. This has nothing to do with love for your own skin and your texture of hair. That is what they will want you to believe. And somehow concoct a story that the Indians and them are thieves and so on. But you have a whole set of Indians in the PNM, and he's still poaching, of course, trying to woo Indians from the UNC to come over to the PNM. And he telling the African community, talking about Rowley and, of course, his bunch of incompetent nincompoops, acidine specimen of inhumanity, people who should be blasted placenta, as opposed, of course, to be menacing us with their presence at this point in time. Yeah, they should have been afterbirth and they should have been, of course, aborted. Yeah, that's how I feel. You don't have to feel that way, but that's how I feel. Because of the evil that they would have perpetrated and the concomitant, of course, narrative that they have developed in order to brainwash and to render malleable and gullible the African community in particular. It has not waste time. So I am making the point that there is no place in Trinidad and Tobago for this racial politics as Rowley and they would practice, but of course, it's not even plausible denial. They're doing it in your face. They're creating it in your face. They're practicing it in your face. And then telling you that it's not them. Telling you it's not them. In your face as well. And we see the plethora of lies and deception that has become stereotypical of the PNM administration and only still considering them. Now I say only here with a high degree of specificity because I don't want it to be noted or in any way give the impression that there is some kind of salvation for the PNM. No. I'm saying that I'm talking only here in terms of that small group who will throw a blind eye to the realities and, of course, the future of Trinidad and Tobago. You are not patriots, so I'm not going to even consider you, but it has to be said about you that you're wicked to your own self, your country, and your children and your children's children, to see the level of incompetence and impotence of the PNM under Rowley and still continue to support that. While I accepted that the devil will have its imps and Rowley will have its imps, but they must be drastically reduced. It must be similar to what Tobago, where he came from, did to him and his party. The PNM is toxic. The PNM is wicked. The PNM is diabolic. The PNM has weaponized government against us, the African community in particular, and we must understand that. And that therefore, what we must be doing is thinking objectively. Raise your thinking and your methodology and your common sense to a level where you're saying, listen, let me be rational. What is good for me? What the PNM has done for me to believe that somehow I must still gravitate to them. In this, even though it's a smaller group, minuscule group, a drastically reduced group of persons who are still looking there. I understand that you may have your CPEP and your URP to protect, etc. But that does not mean that when the time comes, you are not going to, of course, follow the majority of the population and say, listen, Rowley and they were nonsense in spite of the fact that I get a little blah, yes, but when I look at it, I am in jeopardy. My neighborhood is in pain, is crying. And of course, in addition to that, you have, of course, gunshots and murders and life and limb being the order of the day, because we started that way. And of course, during the early course of this program, you heard the gunshots. Yes, that was gunshots, people. That has not waste time. Christmas is too far, and even around Christmas time, they disguise, and you cannot tell the difference sometimes. Of course, for the unesoteric, the persons who are not familiar or learned with, of course, the different firing of whether it is, of course, gunshots or that of fireworks. Not fireworks. We have to act with a rapidity similar to the rapid fire that you heard earlier. Rapid, fast. And we must have those persons who, whether you get a little blind from the PNM because they try to bribe you to, of course, conform to, accept, and defend the indefensible. Well, people like Julia Davis saying, not me, and she calling, of course, on other people such as Tallman and, of course, people of Cocorit, etc. Even, of course, I think she got an alderman position in the Laventille Corporation, Kilmer Wilson. And all of them, I know well, all of them. But I remain steadfast that one of them could never fool me. And today, after 9 years, they are saying that they have been betrayed by Rowley and they. Well, they were betrayed from the beginning. The fact that they pulled them in, the fact that they told them that everything will be all right. And you know, there is a saying as well. Not just a person who does the same thing over and over and expect a different result, either mad or the foolish. But when you are placed in a situation where your experience has been repeatedly disappointing, because last night Juliet said that they don't listen, but we have taken the position and the righteous position that if the tree is poison, the fruit must be poison. What you're gravitating there for? And as I have always said, when dishonorable people take up or pursue honorable office, the only outcome could be dishonorableness and the evil and the treachery and the chicanery and the misleading and the misinformation and disinformation that has become typical of the PNM under Rowley. About 5 different things to justify a particular action, whether it be closing down Petrotrin, whether it be, of course, the Police Service Commission and that debacle with respect to that caused the resignation of all the commissioners, jeopardizing, of course, and embarrassing the president at the time, Paula May Weeks, or an explanation with respect to Sandals, or the Sea Bridge, or the acquisition of the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower, and the acquisition, of course, of the Galleon Passage, or the reason for sending back the Galicia, or the reason for constructing a highway to nowhere in Manzanilla for $400 million, or the disrespect that Raul's friend, the head of NH International, will provide for justifying, of course, a $200 million, sorry about the call, call back, $200 million purchase of Ampere without cabinet approval, and saying that he has no authority. He didn't have any obligation to inform the cabinet. Where you feel it is somebody like you that misbehavior in public office. Let me get it. Pastor, good night, welcome.
Hey, Lennox.
Hey, yes, hey.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend.
Right. So here the first thing I want to tell you.
Go ahead.
In but under man in. Brought back in $1 million. The man in asked him what happened.
Yeah.
I said he know how to spend it. He should have been fired long time. He could talk that in private enterprise.
Nah.
So he took up a new thing now. Tanku had him in a corner on Friday. You know Tanku is a good economist, right?
Yes, definitely. He's the shadow minister of finance, yes, for the UNC.
Right. And the man talking about he bring back $300,000. Tanku says he bring back $300,000. Now you're asking for more money. What really going on?
Yeah.
Tell Tanku, well, your friend make me do that. Tanku said I have many friends, which one you're talking about. But the new head he on right now is he saving money. He's fooling people with that.
Yes.
You don't know how to spend money. If you can remember last year or something, you were begging for somebody to come and assist him in the work what you're doing.
Yes.
Right. The man don't know what he's doing. And yet they're keeping him there. Private enterprise will like kick you out a long time. You get money to spend and you can't spend it. And only thing UNC and all. What we do with the Minister of Finance? You have to take a lag behind the locks.
Of course.
You have no right being there. The next thing I want to say before I go to my last point.
Go ahead.
I hope them UNC people tomorrow, whenever they go back in that parliament, just go and sit down easy in the seat and don't tell them PNL nothing but good morning and all this thing, you know. After listening to what they think about them, after the tape for your brother.
Yes.
Never right there, it's a late for them walking, anybody tell them morning, they ignore them and want to sit down. Right? That's what I would do. You can't tell me more after I hear that tape. You could imagine what they'll be talking about the UNC among themselves any night.
Oh, yes.
And telecommunications, they have all that.
Yeah, all of that is merely to obfuscate and deviate, because what I consider to be psychological infatuation to justify their incompetence by, of course, deflecting attention to others, so that their conscience will not prick them in the eye. But when they go home by themselves, they have a conscience. They are human beings. They must reflect on the fact that they are doing nonsense, and that they are incompetent, and that they are no damn good to the population.
You feel so, boy?
Yeah.
I feel
they have a conscience. I mean, come on. You would do something wrong. You would do something wrong and go with your friends, and of course you take a drink and so on. At that time, I think you're gallerying and you're trying, of course, to not think about it. But when you go in bed and you say your prayers, or if you ain't say your prayers and you lie down there, you must.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, me believe them not say no prayers enough. But what I'm saying anyhow.
Yeah.
If I was UNC people and I go on in here, them can't ask me how was my weekend or not. I ain't talking to them. I go near my seat and I say no. And you see all that crosstalk what is going on?
Yeah.
But if you say I ain't crosstalk and I ain't crosstalk, that's how when they get up and tell hi Jesus, that is a stink mouth. That needs to be done more often.
Yes.
And let me ask you this. But we don't stand up on we foot or we legs?
Of course it's legs. Of course.
Huh?
Of course, that's a whole system. You have the foot, you have the legs. So, but normally we say on legs, but people that say I'm standing on my legs, so therefore you should sit down. Yeah.
I want all you stand up on your leg if you have no foot.
Exactly.
And they bring up that, and plus the hard times when they're voting, some say yes and some say I. Like if they sailors, I yes, it's a bunch of fools boy Lennox.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the last thing I want to tell you? A shaman, the poison dog of engineers and it seems some cough and thing and the green gun. Now remember I always tell you a dog is an old animal. And I always insist my dog stay in my house.
Yes.
Since I told that I know quite a few people.
Mr. Ashgood, just hold on. I have a completing Mr. Tagarigo here. Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Tagarigo.
Since I told that a lot of people keep making place in the home for the dog.
Yes.
You is a two-way street, Lennox.
Yeah.
Your dog has to protect you and you have to protect your dog.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
You can't leave your dog outside for man to poison it. I was going to say something, my wife don't say, but me already care about that fella. I saw him for the dog.
Right.
Dogs have the poison. You look for eating.
All right.
You old and you living alone. And you have your dogs outside. The next thing I want to say, Lennox, last thing. When Prakash Ramadan was in that UNC party, I don't know the man personally.
All right.
And he go to talk and the speaker say, I can't allow that. He was so sure she have to allow that. And when he started to talk, she's there not saying nothing.
Yeah.
And he did it all at once.
Yeah, well, there are some people that are more respected than others. Let's face it, and then there are some who grow to be respected, having regard to the nature of their contributions. Yeah.
To their knowledge, and he knows the Constitution more than she.
Yeah.
Because he's all up on his foot, she's all up on his legs.
Yeah.
And Prakash used to get them to say what he had to say right through.
Yeah.
Why these fellas don't actually teach are not allowed that is supposed to actual why?
Yeah.
I need to may I ask why? Why you not allowing this? I would like to know.
Yeah. If it's me, I question too bad.
You must question.
You had to tell me out of order and all of that because I'm not allowing you to say that I make decision and full stop and so on when we have a standing order that could of course counter, especially if I am very familiar with the standing orders. I mean, your ass is grass as far as I'm concerned.
Of course, you asked that. Yes. I have to know why.
Yes.
You ever watch this South African Parliament?
This is a parliament. This is not and is that George funeral home?
Yeah.
or party. Yes.
I ain't allowing that. Are you done with that?
Yes.
Why you not allowing it? I want to know.
That's right, exactly. All right, let me get Miss Santa Cruz on. She's waiting. Yeah, okay then. Bye. Thanks. Good night, Miss Santa Cruz. Yes. Yeah, we have to be graphic as possible. Yeah.
Yes. Funeral home is ready.
Yeah. Let them feel embarrassed and so on because they have embarrassed us naturally so long and too often. Yes.
Lennox, good night to you and to everybody out there.
Good night to you as
Lennox,
well.
tonight I want to deal with that bald-head credit card scammer they call Camille Robinson Regis.
Go ahead.
This woman have no shame whatsoever.
Right.
She abused the country credit card for in vitro, right? To have children. Then she abused it for wigs, weave, chandelier, furniture, jewelry, you name it, she abused the card for it.
Right.
And that's why God punished her today. She can't put on a wig or a weave. She had to remain bald-headed. And she have no shame whatsoever. You come back again in your next dispensation, and you had close to $200,000 in your handbag. You cannot account for it. And you want to stand up in Parliament and talk about Mrs. Prasad. We said, sir, Camille Roberts, like I tell you, Crapo eat that woman shame. She have none. Or she had a she had a colon cleanser, an industrial strength colon cleanser. She passed it out. You say we have to be graphic.
Yeah, we have to be graphic. Yeah, man. Yeah. Tell them as it is, man.
Yeah. She said Stuart Young apology reflects his integrity and commitment to respectful discourse. Hey, when he was talking about Zami and this and Zami and that, where was his integrity? When he started up and he lied about Delcy Rodriguez and all of them. Where was his integrity? But you see, it's only PNM alone have integrity. Them alone, nobody else can have it, you know, Lennox. Nobody else can have it, right? She said, however, I am fed up with the blatant hypocrisy from certain quarters in the media and from so-called activists. How can they remain silent on serious allegations of human trafficking involving state assets like PTS buses used to transport vulnerable women? Now, first I want to ask her, what proof you have that these buses were used to transport women, vulnerable women, as part of human trafficking? And I also want to ask her, find out if the allegations are true, that Carl plane is also used to transport Venezuelans, Veni women, mamacitas, to Tobago, when certain people have big fat and thing. Why should she find out that? But she know about PTSD buses. But she ain't nobody Carl plane. She ain't know about it. She must take some time off and go talk to the people in Tobago. Right? But you see, Devon Mirage, that next failure, was the one who, after being rejected as an MP and a senator, went with it to all of them. That's why she and Victor Roberts and Dennis Rambley and all of them could repeat it. Right? Devon Mirage brought these shocking claims to light. Look where. And yet the leader of the opposition has completely ignored them, raising serious questions about her belief in accountability. Lennox, didn't Rowley said before he was sworn in, right, that it will be a government of accountability, transparency, no nepotism, no cronyism, right?
Yes.
Everything will be on board, right?
A government for all the people.
Right.
Jokers.
Where was his accountability when Daryl Smith was grabbing Pum Pum? You answer me now. Let me take some water.
Yes, go ahead, man. Take your time. Take your time.
Where was he?
Yes.
Where was he when Daryl Smith was grabbing Pum Pum? Where was the accountability with Camille and she handbag money? Because when Rowley was asked about it, the first thing he started accusing First Citizen Bank and saying, oh, if I buy underwear for my wife, they could tell everybody. He couldn't say a string of pearls. He couldn't say a designer handbag.
No, he can't say that.
He couldn't say a nice pair of shoes.
Man is cursed.
No. Yes,
he's cursed.
Right.
He's doomed to say these things. Yes.
Underwear.
After all, he's a blasted rapist and pedophile. What do you expect? But go ahead. We have to be graphic. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Right. And talking about accountability, where is the accountability for Amo? Where it was perjury. Perjury. You know, there's a lot of people.
Yes. Perjury in the United States, of all places.
Right.
Yes.
Where was him? Where was he then? He was playing ostrich. And the biggest one of all, where was his accountability when Faris was involved in witness tampering? All the time he was boasting about Vincent Nelson. Then suddenly, you ain't hear nothing again from his mouth about Vincent Nelson. Yeah? Where's the accountability? But you see, they don't practice what they preach, you know.
Of course not.
That bald-head credit card princess don't practice what they preach, you know.
Yes, especially when it's come to moral and ethical standards. Yes.
Yeah. Jack Warner was the first to question the opposition leader, approach the double standards. But those who know the truth have now chosen to stay quiet. So suddenly she believed what Jack Warner said about Kamala having an affair with Rishmi, right? And those who know choose to stay quiet. And everybody choose to stay quiet, and they know where you get the handbag money from. And everybody choose to stay quiet, right? When certain sections of the PNM involve in extracurricular activities, why didn't somebody say something, right? When they were talking about Ken Valley extracurricular activities. And Manning knew about it. But you see, if you're going to give them the answer, I don't know why Kamala don't give them the answer. Because she said Kamala only talking about pedophiles in the PNM. Kamala reading the Sabga report. Kamala reading Judith Jones' report. Kamala reading McNichol's report about pedophiles in the PNM. Don't study what you see a Jack Warner say about Kamala because it was sour grapes. He didn't know how else to lash out at Kamala, what to say that how she like women. And look at today, where is he? And where is Kamala? He had to beg like a dog to come back. You know about everybody, but you know what's going on in the PNM? Ask yourself, she should tell us, why did Patrick Manning rejected Ken Valley in 2007? Why did he do it? What took place with Keith Rowley in that Diego Martin office in 1986? That caused somebody to cuff him down. Somebody father to cuff him down. What is taking place in the PNM with an Arsenio Lennox? I sent you the video with David Naked. I sent it to you.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, right. Where these two young men, Daniel and Francois, before they were killed.
Oh yes,
yes.
And the assertion that the parliamentary representative for Port of Spain South had some kind of what I consider to be licentious involvement, but we will look at that. Yes,
Lennox, yeah, but I ain't pointing no fingers at nobody, you know. But I want to ask a question: who is the short, stocky, ugly man with the short ras that used to pimp out these boys? It did the Jones report.
And a member of parliament.
And whoever the cap fit, they could draw the string. Camille Robinson Regis should be answering these questions. Don't look at Kamala's sex life. Look at your own, if you have one. But you see, they love to point fingers at other people. And don't look at the one that pointed back at them.
Yeah, the three of them pointing back at them.
She have no shame. She have no shame to tell Kamala, call names, who involved in thing. Who did they say were involved in the death of Akil Chambers? But me ain't gonna call no name, right? I gonna leave that for somebody else to do. But let her continue playing ignorant and dotish. That she don't and feel that she could stand up in Parliament, use parliamentary privileges to talk this bunch of bullshit. Lennox, Thank you for listening to me.
Yes, man. Yes,
I hope I
man.
give you enough information.
Yes.
And
Well
take care and
said,
have
well
a good
said.
night.
Yeah, leave some for another day.
And
That's too much information for people to
yes, Lennox,
assimilate
and before
and inculcate all at once. We'll give
yeah,
them
we
it
can't digest it all
anecdotally.
at once.
Yeah. Anecdotal.
But Lennox, before I leave,
Go ahead.
don't forget I sent you the code of conduct. I found it 1 o'clock this morning.
Okay.
I sent it to you that Rowley wrote the code of conduct for parliamentarians.
Okay, good.
Take a read of
I'll
it.
ask you
All
for the
right.
source. Yes. Thank you very much.
All
I'll
right.
certainly
Later,
take a look
Lennox.
at it
Take care.
and we'll put it together in a future program. Thanks very much, of course. But that was, of course, our external correspondents at the same time, Mr. Santa Cruz, who, of course, are giving us some vital information, of course. Not that you don't know, but we need to always reinforce. And yes, of course, and the idea is to do what? Is to, of course, make so certain that you are so conscious or so aware that your behavioral pattern will change and so do things in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, I learned a new word today, defense. Let me make sure and check it so I could pronounce it properly. Yeah. Defenestration. It means to throw out of the window. Throw out. Well, you know, I normally would use catharsis to purge. But of course, I have another word that I could use as a synonym to describe, of course, the requirement by the population to get rid of Rowley and they, not that to extinguish them or to annihilate them. I'm talking about politically, of course, but to also we could add to that vocabulary the defenestration, DENES. FEN, let me make sure and get it because I only saw it today. So I thought I should share it with you. DEFEN, yes. NESTRATION. Defenestration. Yes, to jettison, to get them out of the window. Throw them out. All right? Let's go straight, of course, into the lines and let us, of course, remember defenestration because we don't want to defenestrate any one of you. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
I see a policeman get gunned down moonlighting.
Oh yes, boy.
But the head of the organization, right? He asking question if he man's a police officer, what he doing moonlighting? I want to ask you a question. What police officers we doing kidnapping people? And they want money? Huh? What's wrong with him?
Well,
what kind of stupid is
this
he?
fella's gone mad. But you know he was a suspended police officer first and foremost. So my thing is, I understand that he might have shot. So I want to know if he had a gun, and
yeah, he had a gun.
And they're saying that is a legal one. So I don't know if he got it from the security exercise because if he's suspended, I don't think he will have a police issued gun. So
well, I didn't hear that in the news I watched. I didn't hear he's suspended. All I know he was an active policeman. Moonlighting, that way he union reps it.
That's what I got. But I will check it tonight one time because that was something that I read earlier and I don't think that I would have made that mistake in terms of my observation. But go ahead, make your point.
In this country, it is here, your side, my side, but you don't hear the truth, you know. That was going on. See, they went in penal and beat up this man, 78 years old. Kill the man, dog, take away the man license, firearm, all kind of thing, chop the man in the head. Now the man say he packing up and leaving. He said Trinidad is a failed state, and I believe you're right. Trinidad is a failed state. He said name one thing that's working in this country. Well, I could name one thing is the PNM parliamentarians, them working all the way to the bank.
I just to get back to the where we started. Is it the article with the suspended cop gunned down in botched robbery, or is it another matter?
This is a robbery that took place in Arima. I think it was last night or whatever.
And what happened there?
He was three fellas came in with a car there. They came to rob the place. It's a wholesale place. And when they came in to rob the place, he pulled out the firearm And when they jump on him, he fire a shot, and they shoot him up after that.
All right, okay. Listen to what I have here. Just stay on the line. If 54-year-old policeman was shot and killed in a botched robbery on Saturday night at Alton Road, Arima. So Arima seemed to be the common thing that we at least agree upon. Police said around 7:30 p.m. on October 19th, Sheldon Patterson was standing outside.
Yeah, that's the man. That's the man.
Right, okay, food and drink limited.
You're right. It's the same person.
All right, okay. Well, just let us find out. Let us confirm whether or not he was suspended. He was on suspension, and then of course we will decide whether or not why he would have a gun. Of course, and so just hold on. Mass gunmen came out of the Almira, a car, and confronted Patterson and another man. Patterson took out his licensed pistol and fired 2 shots in the direction of the gunman. He missed and was gunned down. The gunman then took Patterson's gun and ran back into the Almira before it drove off. Another man who was inside the grocery at the time of the incident was also shot and wounded. Police found 6.9mm spent shells at the scene. Patterson was suspended. That's where I'm coming from. Patterson was suspended from the police service as he and the 3 other policemen were charged with misconduct in office. So you understand why I am concerned about how come he has a gun, because it is confirmed there that he was suspended. See, that's why I like to, instantaneously deal with these matters, so we don't let the population believe something that doesn't exist. Now, it may be that we have. I am reading from the Newsday, so it may be that we have conflicting information. I don't know, but if it is the same person, the same area, the same place, it means therefore that person was suspended. He had a licensed gun. We need to know how he acquired that, if it was because he was moonlighting and he got it as a result of some security hustle that he would have gotten. We don't know, but that is something that we need to know. Right? Police found 6. Right. Let me finish. However, let me see the Newsday article. Right. However, key documents from the judiciary. Oh, that is dealing with, of course, the reason for why he was suspended. I don't think we should go there. What we established is that he was in fact suspended. Go ahead, my friend.
But the Dixon fella didn't say he was suspended, and all the man say he was moonlighting there.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So that's why I tell you my story.
Okay.
That was never mentioned.
Yes.
It was just that off-duty policeman.
Yeah.
Doing that, right? So you hear a different side of the story. I tell you why I hear.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just making sure that we have it covered, so we don't.
Why watching the news tonight? They say a young boy, he get robbed, right? And in the haste of the robbery, he was driving fast to go by some family member to get help. And a man was riding a bicycle, and if you see the speed, because somebody get the camera footage, he mowed down an old man on a bicycle and killed him dead.
You what?
Right, but he gave up himself. He mowed down a fellow who was riding a bicycle with the speed of the car.
Oh, with the speed of the car. Okay, right. All right, go ahead. Yeah,
he knocked down the fellow on the bicycle. But if you see that, they just paused it. Somebody must have that footage because it was on the TV. So they would see that somewhere on social media.
Yes.
But boy, based on what I see when they stop it, that old man had no chance.
All right.
Because that fellow hit him flush. And he may fly up in the sky meters in the air before he come down. He had no chance. He was always going to be on the DOA. And this is just going to show the kind of, what I should say, boy, the madness going on in this country, right?
Yeah.
And just during the weekend, you hear a couple other people get knocked down. You heard a little boy get run over. A woman get run over too. And I mean, these police and the DPP and all these individuals who are responsible for these people who driving on the street and mowing down people, not charging them for vehicle manslaughter. And it's about time you start making examples of these individuals, because plenty of them driving recklessly and they're inebriated, they're drunk, and they're doing all of these things and killing people without any repercussions at all. When you kill a breadwinner or somebody who are the head of a house, so how these people and them that you leave behind, how them gonna make out with life? You in helping them? You leaving a family in distress. And it's about time people start paying for these things, Lennox.
Yes.
This country upside down, and I'm telling you that the law is not being enforced, and then these stupid PNM want to come and blame UNC for everything. But again, you're seeing where this country, and I tell you, I believe the man will say, so that is a failed state, right? Nothing here works. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. Well, of course, let's get back, of course, to the whole question of, as we started, with respect to the race talk. I think we need to do that racial politics in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, I have very often accused Rowley and they of being pseudo-racist. What do I mean by that? Utilizing their own race for their political advancement. And then, of course, poaching, and I want to be as graphic as possible, but, in other words, utilizing a narrative to tell the African community that, listen, we are the same. Look at my hair, look at my skin, and we are Africans together. Of course, Rowley is on record saying that he is disappointed with the Africans at one of the African Day celebrations. So we know that. But of course, when it is convenient and it may satisfy his political currency, if he has any at this point in time. But then he would, of course, say pleasant things about the Africans. I remember very distinctly at the Success Laventille Secondary School, when we know now that he wanted, of course, to promote the Warners as Africans and as symbols of success in business. And he would use these instances and these analogies in order to show the African community that of course they can do it too. But when now we know that one of them didn't get there just so, it was because Rowley became prime minister and the PNM was in government, why they were able, of course, to get the over 100 acres of land ostensibly for agriculture, but really and truly they were engaged in quarrying. And even when that wasn't sufficient, they were held by the police for quarrying illegally without a license. And suddenly they got a license even after they were charged to continue quarrying. And that for Rowley is the example that he wants to give to Laventille people, knowing full well, and this is how dishonest this man is, knowing full well that without his intervention, Warner could never be where he is and be so rich and be so, of course, the example that he wants to give as a successful African. That is false, that is fake, that is undermining the integrity of what is required. If you tell me that Warner start from nothing, one shoes, and then a little parlor, and then he grew and grew and grew until, but you have made, as government, you made an intervention, so that can't be the example you want to tell the people of Laventille and so on. So people of Laventille, do not take on Rowley. People, yes, can get rich from a parlor, and we have had examples of that. The Dupre's, for example, but he took over from, of course, an uncle of his, having, of course, left for him a business that he turned into, of course, a conglomerate. But if you take the advice from Rowley, you won't even, of course, be successful at a parlor because you will have to, of course, depend on somebody in government in order for you to get a multi-million-dollar contract, even though only because they know you or you know them. That's what he's telling you. So that is why the country cannot equitably equitably move forward, because you have this lopsidedness where the government facilitates a certain group and they rise to the top. And don't tell me I don't know, because Stuart Young and his brother is a clear example. Al-Rari and his family and all them buildings that they rented the government, only because the government, if it was another government, you think he get that rent? If another government was in place, you think the demand that he, Rowley, exemplifies as an African who would have made it. Yeah, talking about the Warners. Huh? Maybe different from Jack Warner. Why Jack Warner, of course, attach himself to an institution, and whatever he did, the fact is that it was by his own brain, his creativity, and his ability. So he has, of course, today a newspaper and several other businesses that came out of that experience. That is a genuine, but not the artificial and the superfluous and the undermining of genuine entrepreneurial spirit and zeal. And over time, people made it and become, of course, rich, and of course, become what I consider to be captains of industry. Rowley himself is a total fake, because he uses, of course, the office of Prime Minister and, of course, the PNM as the political vehicle in order for he himself to become rich, and those who are around him artificially. Rowley was a simple lecturer. I will catch your ass to get rich. Soon as he come into the government, everywhere he went, whether he at national quarries, whether he in the Ministry of Planning, whether in the Ministry of Housing, and now in the Prime Minister's office, it's not by accident, he took under his wings the company that doing the most infrastructural work in the country as a government agency, and gobbling up millions of dollars. Are talking about Udicott and his good friend Noel Garcia, his bagman, they call him. And that's not wasted. That is artificial, people. But we will use those examples to show that is how the African man somehow should make it. Well, what he's telling you is that without bribery, without nepotism, without a friend in the PNM, you can't make that. We're telling you. So do not take the advice of this man. There are ways and means, by the dint of hard work, you will get there, and we are going to explore all of that in due course. But let us look at the whole question of racial politics and Rowley, when he talked about monkey and banana.
I'm a proud black man in this country, and you have offended me.
Dr. Rowley is demanding an apology.
I know what the yellow bananas mean. It's monkey that has created banana. But people hungry in Trinidad and Tobago, and you feed the monkeys banana. You could go to hell with that. We are better than that in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. But that's not all. Let's go further.
I'm a proud black man in this country, and you have offended me.
Let's go further about the banana.
Dr. Rowley is demanding an apology.
I know what the yellow bananas mean. It's monkey that has created banana. But people hungry in Trinidad and Tobago, and you feed the monkeys banana. You could go to hell with that. We are better than that in Trinidad and Tobago.
Balazay House has fallen. The assertion made by opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar during a press conference on Sunday. She said citizens are fed up of Dr. Rowley's lies, and this is a last-ditch attempt by the PNM to sway voters.
Citizens are fed up of Rowley's lies, make-believe, make-up, blame, blame, blame. That is how they got into government in 2015. They are an illegal government or illegitimate government, politically, holding on by their fingernails, hoping the same strategy to hoodwink the population will work again. A house built on lies will surely collapse. And that's what we are seeing today.
She said the people of Trinidad and Tobago are keenly aware of Dr. Rowley's failure as Prime Minister, and because of this, the PNM has resorted to baseless attacks. Mistress Prasad Visesa said the Prime Minister's claim of an alleged assassination plot against him are engineered to score cheap political points.
I told you in my budget response that everything was coming soon, like a movie, coming soon. I never expected it would reveal the plot on a platform, a Ballinger House production. A cornered animal is dangerous, and the PNM has now resorted to baseless attacks as they know their backs are against the wall. The latest talk of assassination plots bear the hallmark of Dr. Rowley's wild and irresponsible, ranting and dangerous style of politicking, which has long been his hallmark.
She said she will not take responsibility for the failings of the People's National Movement.
As they head into an election with a well-known reputation of being the country's worst, most dangerous Prime Minister, who has destroyed every fabric of our economy and social stability with cruel, punitive, and corrupt national policies, Dr. Rowley now seeks to distract public attention from their tragic and frightening track record of unabashed incompetence with very wild and scandalous and misleading allegations.
If you were eating 2 bananas.
I want to pause there a bit to let you understand the psychology of that. In the final meeting of the 2020 general elections, Rowley at Grandi says that of an article or advertisement that was put out by the UNC showing that the UNC is much more people-centered and kind-hearted, etc. And showing a basket of goods that included, of course, grocery goods, that included a hand of fig, bananas. And this man went up in Sandy Grande. After, it's very important, after the issue of not closing down Petrotrin 1, having closed it down in spite of the fact that he said that he wasn't closing it down, and the fact that the people of Deep South, Labre, Point Fortin, etc., would have been directly affected by now being plunged into a state of abject poverty. They would have found themselves in a state of confusion and discombobulation, in other words, because they now have been plunged into a life of uncertainty. They don't know what the future would bring, what the future will bring. And more importantly, they have children going to school. They themselves have expenses such as mortgage, car to pay for, land, understand, food to buy. And Rowley, knowing full well that the majority of people who are going to be affected are Africans that have settled in the southern part of the country around the oil and gas, or the oil industry, and he closed it down without consideration for them. And don't tell me you don't know that he told you a monumental and egregious lie about why he closed it down. It was about him being part of the investigation relating to the fake oil. That is the only reason we can conclude. Because you would know there were 3 other reports of experts. Rowley boasted when these reports were questioned as to why you had so much reports and the cost therein. And he said 24 million is small money for a report in the gas and oil industry. That is what this wicked man say. This is what this pseudo-racist said. And having plunged over 65,000 persons directly and indirectly in the southwestern peninsula, lives that were in a state of not just abeyance, but an upheaval unprecedented. Nobody would have thought of doing that to anybody. And far less your own people, your own race, who by and large dominated the oil and gas industries, as of course the Indians that would have dominated the sugarcane industry. This man and his cabinet, his government, took the decision after Rowley said that they will not give you a false hope and false sense of complacency, and that therefore you didn't want to act because he says so. And it reminds me of those young people in East Port of Spain, particularly those who are currently occupying those government agency apartments in this part of the country on Port of Spain. You see, recently I had a discussion with them, and the leader was of the belief that they will not interfere with them, break it down, displace them, distribute them all over the country, and make their life extremely difficult and barbaric. I say barbaric very specifically because I know that a person will of course continue to survive in the way how he knows best, and if it means of course robbing people, then that is what he will do wherever he or she may end up. That's the point I am making. Rowley didn't care about that. Rowley care about, of course, the gentrification of the area to put what he considered to be better people there and build up, of course, accommodation that at any rate they will not be able to pay for under, of course, a very, what I consider to be specious argument that has no basis in reality by the use of the Slum Act. That is illegal. That is not the act to be used, but he would use it because he knows that you are not going to challenge it. And the young people are saying that no, they won't come because they ain't come yet. So I had to tell those young people, but you didn't see what happened recently down at the foot of Duncan Street, where Granny and people were scampering. They threw their worldly possessions outside, mattress outside, chairs outside, fan outside, TV outside, and evict them because they refuse to leave where they have for generations developed and lived and stayed and formulate, of course, socio-economic relations with Port of Spain, obviously. Where they will be working, because you wouldn't expect a person from Port of Spain to seek a job in San Fernando or vice versa. So they will have their jobs will be around Port of Spain. They just step out from their homes and they go to their jobs. Rowley disrupt that. And they are telling me that somehow, because one of them operatives, very dangerous people, rooted for the PNM on the ground. I tell you me, do not listen to them. They are your enemy. They are the bane of society. They are the bane of the community. And all they're doing that for is because they get a little position in maybe the party group or on the constituency executive, and they are able, of course, to influence and get maybe a CPEP worker or some kind of European work, or be on some small board like the Port of Spain Market Board. And they feel that their job is, of course, to hoodwink you and to keep you in political, social, economic bondage towards, of course, increased poverty. I saying all that to say that is the same experience that the people in the southwestern peninsula, after Rowley said that he not closing down Petrotrin, but because of the evidence that was being unearthed with respect, of course, to the fake oil matter, he and his cabinet chose to close down Petrotrin and plunge 65,000 persons into a state of not just uncertainty, but inevitable poverty. And he could say what he wants. He could say that he put aside whatever it is and he give them sovereign. The fact of the matter is that if they had a job, sovereigns would have come later when they would have qualified to what? For retirement. But you retire them prematurely, whether they are 30, whether they are 40, whether they are 50, or whether they are earlier than any one of those numbers there, could be in their 20s. That is what you did. And you effectively, of course, dealt a serious blow to the business community, the so-called fence line communities, where, of course, a grocery man, a parlour man, a gas station, yes, a hardware man, an equipment provider, an equipment renter, a vehicle renter, all of those persons would have been sacrificed for not having Rowley face the music as far as a criminal investigation is concerned, in respect, of course, the fake oil matter. Yeah. And don't tell me how to prove it, because it's easy. Ask yourself if the investigation going on and what you have heard recently. That is effectively the perversion of the course of the criminal justice system, which has no statutory bar. I want to tell Rowley and them that just as rape and pedophilism doesn't have any statute bar, it's just a matter of time. We already looked at the fact that it is inevitable that blue lights and silver bracelets will, of course, engulf this entire cabinet. But the point I am making is that at that meeting in Sangre Grande, at the twilight of the last meeting of the PNM in Sangre Grande, he raised the question of course, bananas, and hoodwink once again people in particular, people in Point Fortin and Labre. Labre, come on, man. Point Fortin, come on, man. What happened to all you? Well, all you had to be compound asses, fools. And then, of course, that resonated in places like Laventil and along the East-West Corridor, Diego Martin, etc. And people lapped that up. Because Rowley say that he know what yellow banana is all about, when he should be eating all over the place green bananas. As the old people say, let him get cork. Yeah, let him get constipated. Yes. Green banana for he. You see, why I am telling you this is because on the question of bananas, and to show how insincere and how dishonest this man is and continues to be and cannot change like a blasted scent, he is incapable of changing. When he wanted, of course, to tell us to brace for, of course, our SOE under the COVID having failed us as far as COVID is concerned. Over 5,000 deaths after boasting that, of course, he was the best in the world, etc. Hogwash and a figment of their collective evil imagination that, of course, believed that they could incessantly fellow deceptions and illusions to the people, and they're so damn gullible they will take it because they are fools, according to Rowley and they. But when he wanted, of course, to cause the SOE, which didn't come on, of course, because by that time the virus was being abated and its toxicity was not as potent as by the time that he wanted to announce or implement the SOE. Otherwise he would have done it. And I want public servants to understand, the man is so merciless that he was telling you, after encouraging the private sector, who got a nice opportunity to save money, he was telling you, he's going to follow you. You can't come to work if you can't show that you were vaccinated. And staying at home and work is no option. Tell you that. This wicked man. And therefore, effectively, what he's telling you that you are fired, even though you have good, solid industrial relations backing through, of course, the collective bargaining processes. But use the COVID to scuttle and to put aside and to ignore these well-established and solid and sacred relations between employer, in this case the government, and the employees, in this case the public servants. Come on, public servants. Come on. Get the information out there to the opposition. Get the information. Be whistleblowers. Get the information, because they are evil. And when, of course, he had to make that announcement of the SOE, he now says that if you have 2 bananas, share it with one. Share one with somebody. Share it with somebody. But in 2020, just before the election, he was saying bananas are for, of course, monkeys. That is a pseudo-racist and a racist statement of unlimited qualification, unlimited. And you're still going to go in 2025 and even consider these vipers? Let's hear the rest of this clip so you'll understand where we're coming from.
You might try to eat one for some good reason. Either to make it last longer or to share it with somebody else. If you were eating 2 bananas, you might try to eat one for some good reason. Either to make it last longer or to share it with somebody else.
I'm a proud black man in this country and you have offended me.
Dr. Rowley is demanding an apology.
I know what the yellow bananas mean.
If you were eating 2 bananas, you might try to eat one for some good reason. Either to make it last longer or to share it with somebody else.
Yeah. When he was, of course, engaged in another evil institute, an SOE, state of emergency. The man is naturally evil. Why are people, albeit, and I accept a small grouping, but why would you? That should be reduced further. Why would you? A small grouping is too much still to consider this man. You heard what he said about bananas and what he said about bananas again when he wanted to do evil. He wanted to maintain his evil in the first instance by, of course, getting back into office in 2020 with a reduced. He went in with 23 seats and come out with 22, but that is not enough. If anything, Kamala and the UNC ought to be the reverse, and Kamala and they ought to be in government. Since in 2015, we were telling you that all the time. Now in 2025, we are coming again. He's going to come with some banana-like argument. He went to Africa, and he made this one and he made that one. And if it wasn't for that, Trinidad and Tobago would have been worse off. And so much trips he made, and what he brought back, and we can't see it. We can't see it. Our situation is worse off, but he's telling us that he went and bring. I tell you, it's strictly Larry Joseph, but if it wasn't that serious, we could have contemplated Larry Joseph and them, but we can't. We cannot afford it. People, we cannot afford it. Listen to him again about banana and the use of race. They bring up the point, and you saw very glaringly his attempt to woo, to bring into the UNC, to bring into the PNM, UNC operatives, whether they're old, whether they were disenchanted, whatever it is, you see that. And even make them candidates in the local government elections. But telling you Africans, no deal, and worse yet, the embarrassment of the likes of the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Works, Al-Rari, Minister of Local Government, and so many other Indians in significant positions in the PNM, as far as ministers is concerned, people of African descent who could do the same job, but no. It's only for his political survival and survivability. Thank God that not only those Indians that have betrayed the cause cannot find any significant place in the UNC. They have what more Indian than that? You can't be more Indian than that. But that they understand, the UNC understands that these people have acclimatized and therefore become PNMized and engage, of course, in this criminal enterprise called the PNM, and they will steal, and they will get unmerited fame and unmerited access to the shakers and movers in the society and offices and being able to fly abroad, etc. Unmeritoriously, stealing corruptly. So those Indians cannot gravitate or cannot make the grade, the high standard that the UNC has established for political integrity in this country. Let's go to the lines. Professor, good night.
Hey, Lennox, me again, boy.
Yes, go ahead.
You're talking so much about that banana incident. And I tell you about what the former Prime Minister Grenada did tell Rowley.
Yes.
When they had the argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, we still eat bananas in Grenada.
Yeah. Make a mockery of him.
Yeah. But you never even get the video. Because he didn't realize when he talking about people eating bananas.
Yeah, but I didn't find it. Actually, get it for me.
But me know where it is.
All right, okay. I'll go try to find it again. All right. But go ahead.
Right, because he insulted the whole Caribbean. When he say about people eating banana, everybody affected with that. Because everybody eats banana. But that was pre-planned. He had somebody inside there working with him and telling him Kamla bringing out a thing with banana. She was prepared for to come and say that. You hear me?
Yeah, only to exploit the African and to psychologically have them believe that he is for them when in fact he is their arch nemesis, their arch enemy, the African community.
But then also something has to be wrong with them people, you know.
Of course.
I'm not telling you pay $100 and own your property and you own your house all
Yeah.
And Julie
James and them tell them that's a trick.
Yeah, Julie Williams, that's a trick. What kind of jackass them is, boy?
Get it for $100, you know.
And you own it,
$100, you know. When Kamala comes back and only don't take it. Well, I want all. By that time, I should have some money. I go get it from the government because I say by that time. So when she comes to office and she make the offer, I want to take a couple of them.
Oh, you mean, and Russia, they them all over the country now catching them backside.
I'm telling you, because they move them from their source of income and therefore putting food on the table. They have to readjust, they have to adapt. And then, of course, if they are that inclined to be part of the criminal element, well, contributing, of course, to the proliferation, spreading like butter all over the country. The crime and criminality, yeah?
The best part of the country to live in for the Spain always.
Yes.
And you all make, they put all out of that.
Telling you, boy.
Yeah, fellas gonna get up, go and watch late show in the night. And all this, you had it cook.
Yeah.
And you fall for that shit. But that's a trick. You get your place where you could have the other functions whenever for $100.
$100, you know, boy.
Eh? All you have to do is fill out the change and fix it up properly.
That's right. All of them together.
Yeah? Take your time
and you have it as collateral to go to the bank. If somebody want to go to university, you want to set up a business, that is collateral. You could empty a room for carnival and rent it out.
Rent it out.
Yeah, from home. They step straight into the carnival time. I mean, all of that, all those are possibilities. And you don't understand that. You don't understand the opportunity that was presented to you. And you scuttle that by because you repose your faith and your trust in some PNM person who, of course, as the young man, as I told him, I said, well, listen, you wait there, you see what happened down Duncan Street, and then he became conscious. I said, the first thing you do is to tell Hines and them that the government must give all you those apartments for $100 as the UNC did, and see what they go do, and understand how the extent to which they love all you. Understand how they love all you. If they say yes, well then of course you could reconsider, but the likelihood, more than likely, they will say no, and therefore you would know what you have to do. Change the political paradigm in this place, and do not succumb yourself to being a voter bank for these rapscallions and criminals.
And if they make a mistake and set foot in that, they lock them up too.
That's right.
Why could we do that thing more than enough?
Yeah, live all the years, old people, senior citizens, all their life, and they put them out in the blasted rain, exposed to the elements, brutally, barbarical, evil. But that's not an easy thing, my friend. We're going to get some other stories, but I thought it was important, of course, tonight. Of course, we'll have more elaborate videos from tomorrow on this very matter, that the whole question of racial politics cannot be part of what I consider to be the consideration in the 2024 elections. It is about your future. It is about your interests. It is about the best that can happen for you. And the only way I submit the best can happen for you based on performance between 2010 and 2015 and the utterances by this government, by this government, which is dangerous to you, but of course countered by the UNC when they come into office by saying, listen, we are going to repeal the property tax, I think should be music to your ears. And of course, putting back on subsidies, etc., should be music to your ears. So people along the East-West corridor, where our focus is maintained, I want to tell you, better days. We must live happy. We must live better. And it can only happen with Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the youth. This is no advertisement. This is a fact. Go ahead, my friend.
You think if I live in one of them apartment, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling me take it for $100. You think I'm not gonna come and tell me that is a trick?
Yeah.
I will not tell you to get off.
That's right. I'm glad you put it that way, because you know, if Kamala and them, they tell them it's a trick, you know, they castigate Kamala and they, I don't know, they have been conditioned to, of course, hate that which love them, because they hate their own self. Their own self, right? For Rowley and they see Rowley and they, first they hate the self as well at a different level. They would, of course, associate with persons that are not of their own texture of hair, color of skin, and economic status, and gravitate there and thief the people's money, your money, my money, in order to be associated with those who are supposed to be captains of industry or are the richer folks in the society. Come on, you cannot allow that. It's your backs that are riding. Yeah?
Rowley and tell them that it's a trick because they feel they lose them as fast as they vote back. How them gonna be so stupid, right?
I tell you, and still too many of them to not to be concerned moving into the 2025 elections. But we are going to do our best to decondition them and to disabuse and to expose this criminal enterprise led by Rowley, a mafia entity called the PNM. Is that it? Because I'm coming to an end now, my friend.
Yeah. You know they're all over the place?
Yes.
We just talk all about them, is it?
Yeah? Let them go, man. People should be running them out of town, out of the country, out of the byways. Yeah.
You're renting if they have money.
Yes.
And they have their own place. Imagine that.
Yes, imagine that. All now the rich.
Yeah, they own
house. Do the hell what you want with your place.
And taking your telling what the bank getting your money if you chop your place piece by piece.
Telling you, man.
And you the best part of the country you live in.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. It's a shame how they couldn't take you. And they don't have leaders with the gumption and the vision and the foresight. If you don't understand me, like when I see they put desperados on Nelson Street and then saying that it's the best thing since sliced bread. All that kind of nonsense.
Just because the leader don't everybody.
Yeah. All right. Later, somebody else calling. Okay, my friend.
Yes, imagine that. All now the rich.
A pleasant good night. Welcome. A final call. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Yeah.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend.
I want to ask Uncle if you see a movie, Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye with James Cagney. Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye. Oh, ask Uncle if you see a movie named Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye with James Cagney.
Okay, Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye. All right, I like that one.
Well, we had to kiss the PNM goodbye because if them we ain't kiss the PNM goodbye, it's goodbye for we.
And where's you want with the geese again? Where's you want with the geese?
The wild geese, you want
wild geese, right, yes, yeah. And of course, Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye. All right, I'm going again. At all of them again tonight.
Lennox, I was listening to Mighty Trini on a show today talking about Calypso. And you wouldn't believe the politics in the Calypso because Mighty Trini had two good songs going to the road march. I mean, the march cry, right? And you know what they're going to tell him, man? They tell him, man, they can't put him up there because he's a Syrian and how he going to look. And the Calypso is for black people.
Oh, shit.
But listen, that going on for years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they don't call name, you know. They just cover down everything like PNM meeting. But he come out and say so tonight. Right? I mean, today, I hear with my ears.
Yeah, confession.
So that is thing going on for years.
Yeah, bunch of vipers.
That entire Calypso competition, Monarch and all these other things, it have politics inside of the Lennox.
Oh, yeah. We know that. Politics. That's why they were only singing songs favorable to the PNM but negative to the UNC and all of that. We know all of that. That's why we said that those persons that you cannot listen to, and that's why the whole edifice has not just failed but has crashed and crumbled, because it is not a viable thing, because it's the same Indians was going to support who have the money to go and support them. They're so stupid. They buy the hand that feed them, and now that they are in abject poverty, they are now trying to solve it by saying, don't talk about these issues again. Too late. Too late. You have now chutney soca that you gave rise to. You make them come through the middle, and now they are soaring to all kind of heights.
But Coco was there last week, and when he was confronted with the same question that they were singing on Indians, he said that is not true. You're not. He said that is not true. He said that's how the Indians leave, because they have no backbone. He said they were singing the truth, and the Indians had no backbone. That's why they were cut on the tent. But they was never supporting Calypso before. You can ever stupid talk like that?
You see what I mean? Okay. Well, if that's the case, why it dead now in terms of audience in the Calypso tents? Why it dead now? But these people are just any point for a storm. That's the level of stupidity that you have as leaders, purporting to be leaders in this country. All right, my friend, I'm trying to cut you off as quickly as possible. We run out of time. A pleasant good night.
Yeah, Lennox.
Yeah.
Let me give your partner the final words in the movie Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye.
Okay.
What did you tell James Cagney?
All right.
You said Little Joe was his name.
Yeah.
The only place you going is 5 miles out and 6 feet deep, and you could kiss tomorrow goodbye.
All right, well, that looked like Rowley and them. So that's a good way to say goodbye tonight.
Yeah, 5 miles out and 6 feet deep.
Yes, all right, my friend. So let me just get.
Break a bottle to my chop your face.
All right, my friend. Okay, so kiss tomorrow goodbye, and of course wild geese. All right, later.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, people, of course, we almost at the end. Let me just play that again for you to understand the nature of this government and the fact that they are engaged, of course, in what is called pseudo-racism. Listen to this.
I'm a proud black man in this country, and you have offended me.
Dr. Rowley is demanding an apology.
I know what the yellow bananas mean. It's monkey that has spewed banana. But people hungry in Trinidad and Tobago, and you feed the monkeys banana. You could go to hell with that. We are better than that in Trinidad and Tobago.
And on the next occasion,
2 bananas.
Where so
you will try to eat one for some good reason. Either to make it last longer or to share it with somebody else.
Yes, indeed. That is the level of hypocrisy, people. So we have come to the end, people. Of course, see you tomorrow morning on the ground report, Andy, Mikey, and myself. And of course, we continue to deal with these and other issues that are of critical importance to all of us. Yes, indeed, of course. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. I will be, of course, there tomorrow morning as well. And I trust that you had a mouthful. Yes, we're going to continue tomorrow night, of course, with this pseudo-racist, this racist politics that we must, of course, divest from our intellect, from our conscience, from our psyche, from our politics, from avoiding Rowley, and they from, of course, are trying to introduce that. But even if they do, which they will, at least we will stand steadfast like Tobago and realize that they must be jettisoned, they must be expunged from, of course, our consciousness and the politics of this country, simply because they are toxic to us. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Bye-bye.